So you're a photographer ready to break into video. Maybe you want a creative challenge. Maybe you want to add a stream of income to your business. Whatever your reasons, I'm here to help. Hi, my name is Jen. I'm a family filmmaker and photographer, and I'm your guide to learning video as a professional photographer. In this video, I'm going to share the steps that I would take if I were starting again with adding video services to my professional photography business. So let's get started. After deciding to add video to your services, the first thing I would do is assess your gear. As long as you have a DSLR that has video capabilities, you're able to shoot video. All of the lenses that you already own, you're able to use for video as well. So there's not a whole ton of investment right off the bat. Depending on your camera's model, you may be able to use the LCD screen and a touch in order to focus on your subject. But if your camera does not have that capability, my DSLR that I started out with, my Nikon D750, does not have that capability. You will have to rely on your eyes and learning how to turn the focus rings in order to make your subject in focus. This is a highly sought after skill, in my opinion. I think it's an important skill that all videographers should be able to do. You'd never know the situation where you may need to flip off your autofocus because it's not functioning correctly, or because you're in a lighting situation where it's not going to work. And having that skill of manual focusing can really save you. Now, is manual focusing your entire session ideal? No. But as you're learning, I recommend just going ahead and using that if that's your only option, and don't worry about it. Just learn the skill. And as you progress in your business and as you progress in the quality of videos that you want to provide for your clients, you can upgrade to something like a mirrorless where it has that functionality to touch the screen and autofocus for you. This is my Nikon Z6. I also have a Nikon Z7 II. It's what's filming me right now. And both of these mirrorless camera options have autofocus. Okay, so that's going to be across any of the brands. Okay, the whole point of us adding video to our services right off the bat, and as we're learning, is not to invest a ton of money, but to just learn and see if it's something that we want to do. So let's move on. The only piece of equipment that I would recommend investing in as you're learning video is an on-camera boom mic. Great audio is the key to professional video. And the in-camera mic that comes with your camera is just, it won't cut it. So a boom mic looks like this. This particular one is the Rode Mic Mini. It goes on top of my camera and plugs in. And what it's going to do is it's going to capture all the sound coming in from the front. So basically where I'm pointing the camera to film. It also will get a little bit of the noise off to the side, a little bit of ambient noise as well, but mostly what's coming in on the front. It'll override the audio in your camera, and instead the camera will capture the audio coming in through this mic and attach it straight to the video file. This right here is called a dead cat. This goes on the end of your boom mic, and it helps if it were to be windy outside, for example, so that it doesn't ruin your audio. All other gear, in my opinion, can wait as you're learning, okay? Stabilization gear such as gimbals or monopods, you don't necessarily need those right off the bat. What I would recommend is investing in a quality strap. I can't recommend Peak Design more. I really like their slide straps. I think they're the easiest to adjust and they're just so functional. That is what I love to use when I'm shooting video and using my strap for stabilization. If you want to know more about how to use your camera strap for stabilization, I have an entire video on that and I will link it here. Before we talk about the basics of operation, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment with what kind of video you're most interested in adding to your already established photography business. The next thing I would do if I were learning how to add video to my services is to learn some of the technical aspects of how to shoot video. I've queued up my playlist on the basics of video here, but you can also check out my video basics course at the link in the description below. The main things that you're going to want to learn is how to switch your camera into video mode, resolution, frame rate, and how to properly expose. Stabilization, remember that strap, and focusing. Because I already have very in-depth videos on all of these subjects, we're not going to cover that in this video. Again, go back to that playlist that I referenced and go through and make sure you understand each of those concepts as you're learning. But I do want to talk a little bit about the exposure triangle. As a professional photographer, you're probably very versed in the exposure triangle. We have ISO, we have shutter speed, we have aperture, and you know how to use your camera on manual to get the three of them to work together to take a quality photograph. The same applies to video as far as aperture and ISO goes. They function the exact same as in photography. Where it gets a little bit different is with shutter speed. For shutter speed, you're going to want to set yours to double your frame rate. So if you're shooting a video with 24 frames per second, you're going to want to set your shutter speed to 1/50th of a second. Now, I know that 24 plus 24 actually equals 48, but there is no 1/48th of a second on our cameras, right? The closest is 1/50th. So that's what you're going to choose when you're doing shutter speed. Doing so will help the movement in your clips appear as close to what we would see in real life. After I learned those basic techniques, the next thing I would do is I would get busy shooting some video. I would start filming anything and everything, indoors and outdoors. You have a family? Great. Guess what? They're your new subjects. Start filming them doing everything: the dishes, brushing their teeth, playing outside. Get busy practicing how to get your exposure correct, how to get your white balance correct, and how to use some of those different concepts that we talked about before: resolution and frame rate. There's no wrong way to do this, and you don't have to worry about messing up because this footage is probably not going to go anywhere, right? You're going to use it to practice. You're probably never going to share it. It's not a client film, so I wouldn't worry too much about being perfect. I would just try everything, figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, after, of course, you've learned all of those basic concepts that we talked about earlier. The next thing I would do is choose an editing software and learn how to use it. Remember all of those clips that you just took as you were practicing? You're going to load those clips into your preferred software, and you're going to use them to help you practice learning how to edit and how to tell a story. If you're a photographer with Creative Cloud, you already have access to Premiere Pro. Check out the Adobe website tutorials. They're really great, and that's actually how I began to learn how to edit video. I also have an editing course, so if you want something a little bit more in-depth with Premiere Pro, I highly recommend that. I'll link it in the description below. If you work on a Mac, you already have iMovie. There's tons of great tutorials on YouTube that will help you to learn more about iMovie. It will help you put together a story. It doesn't quite have the same functionality as some of the other programs do. It's a little more basic. A few more that you can check out are Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve. Both have a little bit of a learning curve, but again, check out some tutorials and work your way through them, and before you know it, you'll be editing like a pro. So, you've learned the basics of video, you've learned how to edit, you're ready to start adding services to clients. If I was at that step, I'd start offering some free videos to clients that I already have booked and paying for photography sessions. That's actually what I did when I first started video. When I was comfortable with my skills, I had an upcoming newborn session. So I just simply asked the mom and dad if they would be okay with me doing some video clips while at their session and then putting together a story based off of that. Now, I assured these clients that I would be focusing on photos mostly because that's what they're paying me for, that's what they hired me for, but that I was going to just add on video clips and it wouldn't disrupt the session that we already had going. And on top of that, please add some verbiage to your contract or send an entirely separate contract to your clients that have to do with video, capturing audio, motion pictures. There are a ton of great sites out there that offer videography related contracts. Be sure to cover your bases, even if your clients have already signed a photography related contract. So back to this client, I kept my promise. I focused on making sure that I got quality photos of the baby, quality photos of the interaction with the parents. And then when I was sure that I got that in still photography, then I was able to switch over to video while still in that same pose and ask them to do a few extra things movement wise to help capture some video clips that I could use to later put together into a story. They were thrilled with the outcome. And this is what you're going to want to do for quite a few sessions until you feel comfortable enough with the product that you're giving forth and comfortable enough with switching from photography to videography within the same session, posing, making sure it's a lot for your brain to handle right off the bat. So you want to make sure that you are good to go before you start having people pay for this service, just in case something gets messed up, then you don't have anything liable. While you're in this step, I recommend logging your time. So if you think you're going to have to add extra time to your session in order to get extra video clips, which you probably will, then be sure that you log how long it's taking you per session. Also be logging the amount of time it takes you to edit these videos. This is going to help you down the line when you're ready to begin adding these services to your packages. You'll know the amount of time it takes for the typical session and the typical type of video product that you want to offer, and then you can price yourself accordingly. So after I have enough free sessions under my belt and I feel comfortable with the product that I'm creating, I would go ahead and figure out how I'm going to add video services to my already existing photography packages. This will look different for everybody. Some people may want to add video services to photography packages. Some people may want to just add it as a completely separate service and focus just on video. You need to do what's best for you and your business. For me, this was twofold. So I offer something called a moving portrait. This gets added on to an already existing portrait session. So these are for clients who want photographs. These videos are usually 1 to 2 minutes. They're shorter. They don't really tell a story. They just act as a moving portrayal of this family at this time, and we can get some different lovey-dovey interactions. Sometimes they include audio, sometimes they don't. I've used these for what I call motherhood sessions, where I interview the kid about their mom, and then we put some really pretty interaction clips over the top of them. Those have been really popular. Again, 1 to 2 minutes, short. It's kind of like a great upsell. It really is what it ends up being. And the other kind of video that I offer is called a family film. This is when the client wants the video to be the main product. These usually end up around 10 minutes for me. It can be different for everybody. What I'm doing is I'm going into a family's home for 2 to 3 hours, and I am filming them doing everyday things, and I'm getting conversations happening, and I'm really just capturing what it looks like in a day in the life of this family. From there, I can take it into the editing software and I can put it together as a story that then they can have for all time. Think of a wedding video, but think of it for families, right? It's going to have the pretty music in the background. It's going to have a lot of audio and a lot of speaking, a lot of ambient noise. And I also like to include some beautiful slow motion clips as well. So all of the packages I have include photos and video. I don't do any video only packages. I like the families that I work with to end up with both photos and video. It just depends on which one is their priority. After you come up with the types of sessions that you want to have when it comes to video, you're going to want to make sure you price yourself accordingly. Remember when we were recording all of that time? Now is where it's going to come in handy. You're going to account for the time it's going to take you to do the session that you're selling. You're also going to want to account for the time that it will take you to edit that. Any sort of communication before and after, all the same things that you're doing with your photography business to help you price, you're going to do with your videography services. And you're going to want to make sure that you price yourself fair and pay yourself enough so that you're not resenting the work, that you feel like it's way more work than the amount of money that you're getting paid for. I know as a beginner, this can be a really scary thing and you're going to want to price yourself low, but I promise you, if you price yourself correctly at a price that you feel comfortable with and that you don't think is taking advantage of yourself, you're going to be so much better off in the long run. The last thing you want to be doing is marketing your services for well below what they're worth, because then your clients are going to get used to the fact that that's what these items and these products, these video products cost. It's going to be hard for you to change that once you feel like you're ready to up those prices. Do not undercut your prices. I repeat, do not undercut your prices. If you're not sure how to price your services, it's very subjective, and there are a lot of people that have a lot of opinions on this, and I'm not going to cover that in this video, but there are tons of resources out there that can help you figure out how to price your services. Now, I know that a lot of these steps that I just laid out have a lot of sub-steps and extra things to do. This isn't an easy process though. Just as with your photography services, they need to be thought out, practiced, and taken seriously. You probably won't start offering video services 2 days after you start practicing, but in no time, if you just keep with it, you'll be ready to go. So there you go. Those are the steps that I would take as a professional photographer if I was starting over adding video to my already existing services. Don't forget that I have an entire playlist and a course on the basics of video. You can find links for both in the description below. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.